So one day, about a year ago, my wife came home from walking the dog and she had lost her cell phone. So I hopped on my bicycle and retraced her route, and I was dialing the number. I didn't find it, so I came home and we called the local police to see if anybody had turned it in. And no one had, but they took our name and my number and promised to call if someone did. And then, bright idea, oh yeah, find my phone. So we got on the computer and we plugged in her number, and the phone was in Hadley. We live in Turner's Falls. So now, I'm from a small town in northern Maine, and if somebody steals your stuff in the small town, you know who did it, and you just go get it back. But now I live in civilization, so I tried to do the civilized thing, and we called the Hadley police and said, hey, somebody took their phone, and they're in this parking lot in Hadley. And they said, yeah, we're not going to do anything. I said, what do you mean? It's like $1,000 phone. It's like grand theft. You're not going to do anything? They said, yeah, it's not worth it to us to go out and try to find your phone. So sorry. And I got furious. And I said, if you don't answer this phone call, then you're going to answer another call when I go get my phone. And I hung up on them. Now, I don't know if you guys watch action movies, but in the beginning of every action movie, there's a thing that happens where the hero is released from responsibility for their own actions. And very often that's because the law refuses to act, and so you must take the law into your own hands. And I was ready for this. So my wife had the laptop, she could track the phone and instant message me, and I hopped in the car and I went to Hadley. Did I speed? Oh yes. Rules are for other people. I went to the parking lot in Hadley and I pulled in. It was one of the small strip malls, not one of the big malls, and there was a dentist office and a store that sold eyeglasses and a hairdresser, and I thought, where would a phone thief go? Had to be the hairdresser. So I burst open the door to the hairdressing place like I was walking into a saloon, and I dialed the number, and the receptionist is like, can I help you? And I said, just looking. And I looked around. Nothing was ringing. So I angled over towards where some coats and some purses were, and I dialed the number again. And the receptionist is like, sir, can I help you? And I said, shh. There was nothing there. So I went outside, and I started walking, dialing the number, and walking up and down the row of cars. I was fantasizing about punching out the side window of a car. I think I could do it. But we don't know. I couldn't find the phone. And after a while of doing that, my wife messaged me that the phone was on the move. So I looked up, and there was this ratty red Subaru just pulling out of the parking lot, and I was like, oh, that is the car of a phone thief. And I hopped in my car, and I went to get out, but you guys know Route 9 in Hadley. I waited and waited and waited. Finally, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I absolutely cut this guy off. I was right in front of him. He had to slam on the brakes, but hey, I was justified in everything. Honestly, there's no bigger asshole in the entire world than a middle-aged white guy with a mission and a little bit of self-righteousness. He flipped me off. I could see him in the mirror flipping me off and honking his horn. I was flipping him right back. You don't understand, it's my phone. I normally never text, but my wife messaged me and I read the text right in the car. Like, this phone is now more important than other people's safety. I was holding it. Okay, the phone pulled into the Target parking lot. So I ran into the Target store and held my phone above my head like the sword of truth. dialed the number and stalked around the store. Pretty soon, people are following me. And phones work just as well down here. It doesn't matter. I ran around the whole store looking for everybody who looked suspicious, some phone thief. No, nobody was there. The phone's on the move, come the text message. So I ran and hopped in the car, no ratty Subaru, but it must have been ahead of me. So I pulled out, I was reckless, I drove around people, there was some construction, boom, around the red cones. Somebody stopped to pull over, boom, around the other side, off the side soft shoulder. I was racing and going back towards Montague. It's ha-ha, they're going back home. I will come to their house. They will be sorry. So we drove all the way, and we got close to Holyoke, and my phone rang, and it was the Montague police. And I said, getting involved finally, huh? So I answered the phone, and someone had, just dropped off the phone at the... Geez, well, who is it? I'd love to give him a reward or say thank you. That was so nice of them. And the police said, well, they want to stay anonymous, but they found the phone on the road, and they picked it up and were late for their dentist appointment. So they took it with them, and then they ran an errand, and then they came right back here and dropped it off as soon as they could. And I don't know who that person is, and I'd love to thank them. And also, I'm really glad I didn't catch him.